Journey to the Western Vernacular, Chapter 15, The Golden Elixir Savior of the Wuji Kingdom. Taisheng Laojun took the two boys back to heaven, and Tang Seng and his disciples continued on their way. One day, when the moon rose, he came to the emperor-built Bailin temple and stayed in the temple. That night, Wukong, Bajie and Sha Seng all fell asleep. Tang Seng was still sitting upright at the table and reciting scriptures. At midnight, he also fell asleep in a daze. In his sleep, he saw a man dressed as a king walking up to him and crying, "I turned out to be the king of the Wuji Kingdom. 5 years ago, the country encountered a severe drought and the people were starving to death. Suddenly a man came, the Quanzhen Taoist priest who can control the wind and rain, used magic to bring down a heavy rain and eliminate the drought. In order to thank him, I became a brother and we have a very close relationship." 2 years passed peacefully like this. Who would have expected that in the spring 3 years ago, when the Taoist priest and I went to the garden to enjoy the spring scenery, he actually pushed me into the well when I was not prepared, and even covered the wellhead with a bluestone slab. Plant a banana tree. He will look like me and take away all my civil and military officials. He will also deceive me. The king asked Tang Seng to send Wukong to help him get rid of the monster, and gave Tang Seng a piece of white jade. He said, "Tomorrow the prince will go out to the city to hunt, and the master can just take the opportunity to tell him that this thing can be used as a certificate." This jade has never been seen before during his lifetime. He left me and didn't lose it when he fell into a well. The monster turned into me, but he didn't have this thing. He will definitely recognize it when he sees it. After the king said goodbye and left, Tang Seng woke up with a start. He quickly woke up his 3 apprentices and told them what happened in the dream. Sha Monk opened the door and took a look, and saw a white jade pen on the steps. Only then did everyone believe that what happened in Tang Monk's dream was true, and they discussed together how to catch the monster. Wukong rolled his eyes and came up with a clever plan to become a 3-dimensional prince. The next morning, Wukong jumped into the air to see what was going on in the Wuji Kingdom. Sure enough, he saw the prince leading his troops out of the city to hunt, so he turned into a white rabbit, deliberately let the prince shoot him, and took the prince to the gate of Bailin Temple. But the prince didn't see the white rabbit, only the eagle-feathered arrow stuck straight on the threshold. The prince walked into the temple. Tang Monk met him and said that he had 3 treasures to offer. The first one was the cassock on his body. Wearing it, he knew that the prince had a strange injustice, and his father was killed by a monster. The prince was shocked when he heard this. Then, Tang Seng asked Bajie and Sha Seng to take out 2 boxes and said that these were 2 other treasures. Bajie opened one of the boxes, and out of it jumped out a 2-inch-tall little monk transformed by Wukong. He claimed to be the emperor creator and could know things that happened for 1,500 years before and after. Wukong jumped a few more times, changed into his original appearance, told the story of the king's murder in detail, and finally said, "The Taoist priest Qi was transformed into a monster. He killed your father and took away the throne." Seeing that the prince was half convinced, Tang Monk asked Sha Monk to hand over the second box to the prince. As soon as the prince took the box into his hand, the box disappeared, and what he held in his hand was the piece of white jade. The prince finally believed Tang Seng's words and asked him to help get rid of the monster. So Wukong and the prince worked together to arrange a strategy to eliminate monsters and subdue monsters. The next day, after getting Tang Seng's consent, Wukong lied to Bajie that night that he was going to steal the treasure. The greedy Bajie and Wukong rode the clouds to the back garden of the palace, removed the banana trees and blue stones, volunteered to grab Wukong's golden hoop, and carefully went down the well. Bajie went down into the well, and the Dragon King of the well invited him into the Crystal Palace and prepared a lot of delicious food for him. Bajie said he was looking for the treasure. King Jinglong smiled and invited him into a pavilion. He pointed at the king of Wuji Kingdom and said, "He is the treasure. I used the Dingyan Pearl to protect him for 3 years, so the body did not deteriorate. Now, take it and make merit." When Bajie saw that it was not gold or silver, he turned around and left. King Longjing quickly ordered Yasha to throw the body next to Bajie. Bajie only heard the sound of water. When he looked back, the Crystal Palace was gone. Wukong asked him at the entrance of the well if he had found the treasure. When Bajie saw the body next to him, he told Wukong everything. Wukong asked him to carry the dead king to the well. Bajie had no choice but to do as he was told. The two transported the king back to Bailin Temple. In order to take revenge on Wukong, Bajie suggested that his master use a tight spell to force Wukong to revive the dead king. Wukong had no choice but to fly to the sky on a cloud and come to Tashida Palace to ask the Supreme Lord for help. The Supreme Lord gave him a 9-turn resurrection pill for the sake of protecting Monk Tang from studying in the West. Wukong returned to Balan Temple and put the resurrection pill into the king's mouth. The king was immediately revived and kowtowed to Tang Monk to thank him for saving his life. Wukong came up with another clever plan, asking the king to disguise himself as a monk and go to the Wuji kingdom with them tomorrow to meet the king and expose the demon's deception face to face. The next day, the 5 of them came to the Wuji kingdom to change Guan Wen. The fake king had already heard about Sun Wukong's power and did not want to cause trouble, so he ordered the Huangman official to put a seal and let them go. The prince understood in his heart and said, "It would be too rude of us not to receive them." The fake king had no choice but to let Tang Seng and others go to the palace. When Tang Monk and his disciples saw the fake king, they didn't even kneel down to salute. Now the monsters were so angry that they wanted to find an excuse to punish them. The prince was afraid that Tang Monk and his disciples would suffer a loss, so he deliberately said that there were only 4 people in the customs, but now there are 5 people. The origin of the 5th person is unknown. If he does not make it clear, he will not leave the Wuji kingdom. Wukong quickly told the king's story from beginning to end. Seeing that the matter had been exposed, the monster took a big sword from the hands of the palace warrior, revealed his true form, and fled on clouds. Wukong catches up. 2 people, you hit me with a stick, I hit you with a knife, until the sky was dark and the earth was dark. Gradually, the monster lost strength and wanted to escape, but was blocked by Wukong again, so he turned around and fled back to the palace, turning into a Tang Monk. The fake Tang Seng pulled the real Tang Seng around in the crowd, and no one could tell which one was real and which one was fake. Bajie thought of a way. He and Sha Seng each grabbed a Tang Monk and asked the master to recite the tightening curse. Those who can't recite must be monsters. Wukong knew it was uncomfortable, but in order to get rid of the demon, he still agreed. So the 2 Tang monks stood on both sides and started chanting mantras. When Bajie discovered that the Tang monk he had captured could only grunt indiscriminately, he concluded that he was not a master, so he raised a rake and beat him. The monster jumped into the air and fought with Bajie and Sha Seng, who were chasing after them. Sun Wukong endured his headache and chased up into the sky. He was about to take advantage of the monster's unpreparedness and kill him with a stick, when Manjushri Bodhisattva came. Manjushri Bodhisattva is here to help Wukong catch monsters. He took out the monster mirror, and the monster immediately revealed its true form. It turned out to be the green-haired lion ridden by Manjushri Bodhisattva. Manjushri Bodhisattva rode away on a lion, and the king held a banquet to entertain Tang Monk and his disciples. The next day, Tang Monk and the others bid farewell to the king of Wuji Kingdom and continued their journey westward. Alright, this part of the story ends here.
Want to know what happened next? Let's listen to the breakdown next time.